Well, good morning. This is Elaine Glover, and I'm the Bishop of the Cross Denominational Mission. And I thought, I just woke up this morning and my brain's a bit like a computer, and I decided to talk about cerebral malaria and how it's affected my life and how my GP, um, and I know it's not just about GPs, but hospitals in this country have no idea about cerebral malaria and the effects of it. So I thought, yes, this is from me. And I hope really that some of the doctors from the tropical disease would actually listen to me and to pay attention because I know of one person who had cerebral malaria, but I think their experience is a bit different to mine. Anyway, I was a missionary and I went to Kenya and I didn't take any antimalarials because I was there for a long time. And so I just wanted to be, you know, like the people that I was with. I lived in a mud hut. I ate their food, which was like a manna, which was fish, little tiny fish dried on the beach. And to be honest, it was terrible. They liked it boiled, but I didn't like it. And cabbage that was cooked in oil, and it made me so sick because I wasn't used to that kind of lifestyle or food. And the first thing that I had when I was there was malaria. And I had never had malaria in my life. I didn't really know anything about it. I just knew that I had a terrible headache, terrible sweating, and feeling really awful and sick. And I went to the local clinic and I had um, their malarial tablets that killed the parasites because that's what they are. It's the mosquitoes that get the blood out of you, but put these parasites in your bloodstream. And from what I know, those first malaria I had was in the liver, but I didn't pay much attention to. I just wanted to get rid of it and take the tablets. But it made you incredibly tired because they take the red blood cells out of your blood itself. And, people used to laugh at me because I couldn't walk very far. Um, but basically, I was very anemic, and they used to laugh at me because we wanted to go up a mountain, and I couldn't really go up the mountain. I felt dreadful. But anyway, I was there for 4 years, and I had many occasions where I had malaria. Just went to the clinic, I think it's for 3 days you take it, and after 3 days, when the parasites are dead, if you're not dead, because it is something that many people do die of. And we kind of take it really for granted here in this country. And I know that you can take antimalarials when you're going on holiday, but they do make you quite ill. And not only did I have malaria, I had jiggers, I had typhoid, I had amoeba, which are all like parasites. And generally, my health was quite bad because I wasn't used to that. But I must have had malaria many, many times. I don't know, you could say 100, but it wouldn't be impossible because I lived there for 4 years on and off. You're there for 3 months. You can get yourself another 3 months, that's 6 months. Then go home for a few weeks and then go back. And one year I had a year and a half, but I went to Israel for a month um, on a sabbatical. So anyway, it was January 2015. And I think it was 2014, I went to America to see my friend um, Joan Riley in what do you call it, the gambling place, Las Vegas, and I went to see some friends. Also, I can't remember now, Hans and the Zandstraws, because they'd been very supportive to me. Um, and I felt really ill. I was sweating at night. I was spewing up and I was sweating and I was very sick. And so I'm not sure if it was, yeah, it was this time. Um, and I went to stay in Bournemouth actually. Um, and I was going to go back to Kenya, but I didn't. I went to stay with my now boyfriend, Adrian, who's now my husband, because I really wasn't very well at all. I just decided to go home. And I remember going through Beirut because I went from America to Beirut. And I was so ill on that plane, sweating, feeling sick, really ill. Um, and I got to the point where you go through onto the plane, and there was a man with a gun. You know, they're obviously in Beirut. And he said to me, "Where have you come from?" I thought, I'm not going to say I've come from Kenya, because at that point, um, there was a lady with Ebola, and I was a bit worried if they were going to send me to a hospital and check out. I didn't want all that palaver. And I had just come from America, so he let me through, but I wasn't well. And then that Christmas, when I was with Adrian, I stayed in a hotel, but I was so sick. Adrian had to come with me in the hospital because I was not in the hospital, in the hotel because I was just spewing up. I was just so ill. I spewed in the bed and everywhere. So anyway, I went back to Kenya then, and my other friend from Southampton should have booked me another 3 months. But the amazing thing was he didn't book me 3 months. He booked me very short time. I know it's 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And we did a conference with Spuck to do with abortion and, with the kids in the school with girl child education about how they shouldn't have sex. And because they used to go and have sex with picky men because um, they hadn't got any sanitary towels. And also because they hadn't got any money at all. A lot of their family members were relatively poor, but the poverty comes from either HIV and AIDS or drinking changa. And sorry, I've got a fly bombing around. So, um, yes. But the actual conference went really well. We had talks by the teachers, George, different children spoke about different things. And it was actually amazing. And we were making a big difference, but I did want to go back. So I went back to stay with Adrian. But in the January, I was still very, very ill. I had taken malaria tablets, from Kenya, but I was still really ill. There was something not quite right. So we went out for my Valentine's dinner. Yeah, I spewed up again everywhere. I was so ill, honestly. It was terrible. Spewing up, feeling sick. I had headaches. And I was getting a bit delusional. Poor old Adrian, I'd not really known him for that long, and he was having to put up with me spewing everywhere. It was hardly romantic, but he was looking after me to a degree. Anyway, I was staying with him, but I was so ill. I really was so ill. And I remember because he just moved into where we live now, and I was doing some painting while he was at work. But I was so ill in that bathroom. It was absolutely terrible. And then one afternoon, I just lay on the bed, and that was it. I was unconscious for 3 or 4 days. Adrian had come back and seen me quite delusional, talking rubbish, and apparently he got the 111, and they came in the end, and they didn't know what was wrong with me. None of them knew what was wrong with me. He couldn't find anything really until Adrian had said that I'd just come back from Kenya, and they discovered I had malaria. But it wasn't the normal malaria in the liver. This time it was in my brain. I had cerebral malaria. Um, I didn't know I was unconscious. I remember Trevor and Jeremy coming, who were my Christian friends from Southampton, praying for me. And I remember Adrian coming sometimes, but I wasn't really awake. I was in and out of consciousness. And I remember that one night I was really nasty to this nurse. I was delusional. And later on, when I came round, I felt terrible. I was really rotten to her, but I didn't, it was not intentionally like that. But I did feel terrible for the way I spoke to her, and I did apologise. Um, so then what happened was one morning you see, you don't really know what's going on. I know that I'd got all this stuff on me, all the wires and the catheter and everything else. And one morning, I just felt like somebody, it was God actually, who blew breath into me. I didn't really have a moment where I saw Yeshua, Jesus Christ, or, like a spiritual encounter that way, but I did feel the breath of God. And then all of a sudden you think, wow, what am I doing here? I want to take them off. I was going like this. And when I got up, I could hardly walk. My legs were like jelly. And I was there a day or so, and I was thinking, why am I here for? The Lord's healed me because cerebral malaria is something that people die from. There's a lot of research in children, but there's very little research, I believe, and aftercare for those who are adults. They had to keep bringing up a tropical disease in London, I know, asking what tablets, what do they do, this, that, and the other. But, I just come back from Africa as a missionary, and I really saw many miracles and amazing things. So I just sat myself out the hospital and believed the Lord had healed me. Well, he had. But what I didn't realize was that during all this time, my brain had swollen. And, well, you don't know what's going on, do you? I mean, that's the thing. When people are dying or people are really in a bad way, they don't realize what's going on, but the families realize. And, Adrian was really upset, getting people to pray for me all around the world and all this kind of stuff. But I was not really with it, to tell you the truth. I didn't realize how ill I was, and they give you some very, very strong tablets um, to kill the parasites. And I remember a friend of mine with his wife, who's a nurse, and she's going on, and she was getting right up my nose. I mean, normally in reality, if you had a sane mind, you wouldn't think like that, to be honest. And so I signed myself up. I'm thinking, who do you think you're talking to? This is about me, not you. Because the doctor was trying to get her to get me to stay. But I wanted to sign myself out because I believed that the Lord had healed me and that's it. But I was very naive to what was going on. Poor old Adrian, he was going through stress at work. He had quite a responsible job. And I went back. But when he was at work, I used to sit and cry. I was so miserable. I miss Kenya. I miss my house. I miss the people that I'd lived with 4 years. I miss the ministry that I had. I missed everything, but I was seriously ill, but I didn't realise. So anyway, about a week and a half later, Adrian and I had an altercation, and I threw. I think it. I shook. Something like this. It was cold water, it wasn't hot. Shook it up and threw it all over him on a cold night. In and he got the police because he didn't know what was going on. He didn't understand about what was going on with me health wise, and they came, and I don't know what happened because I couldn't remember really. And I was arrested. Laney Lou was arrested and taken to Bournemouth police cell. But you see, as I say, I didn't realise that I had brain injury, but not just brain injury, but with cerebral malaria, you have encephalitis, your brain swells. And they just thought it was domestic violence. And at that time, there was a big thing about poor men and domestic violence. And they just thought I'd gone ballistic. I hadn't hit him. I just was acting very strangely and just threw the water over him. And I was in the police cell. Let me out, let me out. I want to go home. But the thing is, I had got clothes on, but only not jumpers or trousers or I think I actually had a pair of trousers, but I didn't have a coat or probably just a t-shirt and a pair of trousers. That was it. I didn't have a phone and I didn't have any money. And I was there in a police cell for a whole night. And this nurse turned up and told me that my blood sugar was high as a kite. Well, obviously it would be because I was seriously ill, but nobody realised. And she told me that I should never have been in the police station because I hadn't thrown hot water over Adrian. I hadn't scolded him or harmed him. I just threw up, as I say, a full bottle of the water like this and shook it up and threw it at him. And he was angry and he didn't know what was going on. And so he got the coppers, as I call them in Leicester. And they give you the smallest breakfast you could ever imagine. But they didn't get me a doctor for being high blood sugar or to get me any tablets or whatever. And the next day was just terrible. I was seeing globes of colours, which I believe was the glory of God. I believe that God was with me. And they, take your DNA, show you all about DNA. And then the police officer was going on and on and on saying, if you tell the truth, Adrian will want you back and all this, that, and the other. And, but you've got to tell the truth. But I was telling the truth. I was telling her that I'd had cerebral malaria. Oh, malaria is not bad for you, won't do anything, which is a load of rubbish. I wish I'd have got a solicitor now. But the problem is, you don't think. I was just thinking, why am I here for? Why did Adrian get the police for? What's going on? And they charged me with battery, which was nonsense. I hadn't battered him or hit him. I just threw cold water over him. And the thing was, Adrian does brew his own home brew. And I'd just been the following week tipping Changa down the river and also their home brew. And I was thinking, goodness me, I've left Kenya, very anti-alcohol because so many of them were really drinking, 100% alcohol. And here's Adrian brewing his own beer. I was horrified, but you see, at the same time, my brain had swollen, taking very strong tablets, and I think he gave me some vodka, I can't remember, probably to calm me down, but it didn't. It made it worse. And I remember passing out and waking up. Um, Sorry, I've got ear infection. This is why I put my hat on. And so it was really terrible, honestly. And I got no family members near me. So anyway, they charged me with battery, which was over the top, really. And the CPS, who were very much into domestic violence against men. But it wasn't that at all. I was ill. I got a swollen brain, apparently. Strong top tablets, and then on top of vodka, I don't know what was going on, to be honest, but so anyway, I was there all night and all day, and they kept interrogating me, and I kept telling them I've had cerebral malaria. I went out where I lived in an ambulance one week, and then going out another in a police car. So anyway, 5 o'clock comes, and they told me to clear off, chucking out time. But the thing is, where do I go? Because I wasn't supposed to go back to Adrian. I hadn't got a phone, I got no money. And I went outside and it was freezing. So I managed to get back inside and said, look, I've got nowhere to go. I've never lived in Bournemouth before. I don't know where to go. I've got no money. I've got no phone. And they let me ring my friend up who came, and I waited outside for about an hour and I was freezing. And he turned up. And I stayed with him in a farmhouse because he used to have rooms for um, people like me that were on furlough from mission work. And the shame of going to the hospital, no, the shame of going to that Bournemouth police cell and having to go to court was terrible. I mean, now I can talk about it. Now it's not really an annoyance to me because I understood what happened. So I couldn't go back to Adrian's, and now I was living in Southampton again with my friend looking after me because I was very ill. And he couldn't understand why Adrian got the police. And so I've got one lot of friends, very anti-Adrian. Adrian thinks I'm going off the tree. And during this time, I couldn't walk. I just felt my heart boom, 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 boom. And my lungs were really terrible. I didn't know what was happening with me. I was so fatigued. And so I went to, um, I'm not sure, was it, it wasn't it? No, it was Hedge End or West End surgery. And they found that I hadn't got hardly any red blood cells, which is why it was causing me, I couldn't breathe and my heart was going off one. So I said, look, I really need a blood transfusion because when I lived in Kenya, I remember George, my co-worker, and his wife Sarah going out late at night with some young people who got cerebral malaria and kicking off. So I remember that. So I know that they had to have blood transfusion, else they could die. So I managed to get to Winchester Hospital after this um after this doctor had just come back from Africa, and he knew what I was talking about, so I had a transfusion and I felt so much better. If I hadn't have had a transfusion, I don't know what would have happened. Um so I went to court, and my solicitor was saying I could have a tag. And I was thinking, I'd just come out of the critical care clinic one week and then going off and the next, they looked at my notes, and so they realised, and I pleaded guilty, and they charged me £15 for the court, so that wasn't too bad. And he said, would you be able to not give Mrs. Waterfield, at the time was called, a tag because she wouldn't be able to go to her prayer meetings? Well, I've never felt so stupid in my life. And I was crying behind this glass thing. I just wasn't well either then, to be honest. I was very sick. Um, so anyway, they sort of found me. Well, they said even if you'd have pleaded not guilty, all you'd have had was £15. But Adrian told me to plead guilty because he didn't understand that I was actually sick. Nobody understood. Um, so I went back to stay with Adrian, and the problem was uh, yet again. I mean, I used to sit at home in tears. I had fatigue. I couldn't walk. Um, I got very upset when I was stressed, and my surgery thought I had sleep apnea because they just look at you, see that you're fat, see that you're diabetic, which I found out, and I think that was caused through the cerebral malaria. And they were telling everybody that, that I got sleep apnea, including the tropical disease in London. And I saw the famous Chris Whitty to do with COVID. He was a lovely man, actually. And all he seemed to bother about for me is to have a tablet for a worm in Kenya. Never really mentioned much about brain injury. And another doctor. And then saw a lady to do with neurology, and all they were thinking about was sleep apnea. And just do not like that lady at all because what I feel is that she put so much emphasis on judging me being fat and diabetic that she never thought I had brain injury. And I suffered for 4 years. I didn't know what was going on with me. I didn't know why I was behaving strangely like I did. And I used to get brain fog, fatigue. When I get stressed, even now, I can't cope with it. And I can say things that I would never say normally because it does affect it really affects the way you see. You've got no control over really what you say. Uh, and I can be very, very judgmental. And there's all sorts of things that were happening to me that I couldn't, even now, because I forget things. I haven't got dementia, but I forget things. I have to get a Dosset box to remember whether I've taken my tablets. But even when I have a Dosset box, I can't remember really. And when I get really stressed, it affects my blood sugar and also my blood pressure. But the overwhelming thing was, being like this was, I felt that nobody understood me. In fact, the friend I had used to take the mickey out of me because I'd gone to court. But he didn't tell them that I had brain injury. And it took 4 years. I was at the radio station doing 6 hours a week. And after I'd done the 3 hours, I was so exhausted. And then I'd forget to do certain things so that it wouldn't be dead air. And then I'd get told off. But the problem is I couldn't remember because my brain was frazzled. And after a while, I just fed up with the whole thing. And I said to this doctor, please, could I go and see a neurologist about this? So 4 or 5, just before COVID, I went to see this lovely doctor at Paul Hospital, and she told me that I had the classic symptoms of brain injury. And that was such a relief because I thought, I'm not going mad, I'm not going mental, but I still didn't understand what was going on with me because I never saw a consultant to tell me what did happen when I had cerebral malaria during this time. What did the parasites do to my brain? Um, because they only gave me 33% chance of survival. That was the other thing. So this is why I was so upset, and I think I've got PTSD to think, why would Adrian send me get the police? Why would my friend go and steal my project? This is the guy that I'd known for a long time. Why did my co-worker let them take my project over? And all of this is mixed up with brain injury, and I couldn't cope. And, people were laughing at me because I couldn't remember things and my behavior. And sometimes I would just sit and cry in a situation and I couldn't cope with it because I got brain injury. So anyway, eventually I went to the acquired brain injury unit and I discovered um, through going to understand the brain. See, I went and had an MRI and they found an anomaly on my thalamus, but that is a part of the brain injury. But nobody understood anything. Nobody understood about cerebral malaria. And I've never seen a consultant yet. And you can't get to them. You can't get to speak to them. They're just interested in researching in Africa, researching in children, but they're not helping those people that get cerebral malaria like me. And so, it was terrible. That time was a real terrible time. But Charles, who was who Dr. Charles, who helped me understand my brain, and one time, I looked at the a YouTube clip about what happens, and I sat and cried. It was like a death because it shows you how the brain swells up when you've got cerebral malaria. And it was like a death. I was in grief because the old Elaine had gone. I'm still Elaine, but my brain's not the same. So it was like the old Elaine had gone and the new one was here. The Lord really helped me. I mean, I could have died very easily, but the Lord really helped me and saved me. But, you know, God's got plans for us not to harm us, but to give us a hope and a future. And He's used all this so I can help other people and understand mental health. Because there are times when I get very depressed, there are times when I feel useless, there are times when I don't understand what's happening to me because I don't. If only I could see a consultant for him to tell me what's going on. Sorry, my hair's getting on my nerves. It's got a mind of its own. And all I want to do is actually see a consultant to tell me what happened when I had cerebral malaria. What are the effects of cerebral malaria? And they say, oh, well, you're okay, because I went to another consultant with the same hospital at Poole. Oh, you're all right. You're okay. You can just get on with your life now. And I thought how ignorant they were. And I've spoken to somebody who is a doctor, and they've put me with junior doctors to see if they can help me, but they don't know anything. They have no clue. Because in Africa, many, many, many people die in the rural area from malaria and cerebral malaria. Malaria is one of the biggest diseases there is for death, especially when nobody knows anything about it. And this is why I'm hoping that doctors will listen to what I'm saying, because I just need somebody to tell me what happened and what's happening to me now. But at the doctors, they'll say, oh, well, you've already seen the tropical disease. But the tropical disease didn't know I had brain injury. The tropical disease didn't know that I had no red blood cells, even after a blood test. And, you know, just because you go to the tropical disease doesn't mean people know about cerebral malaria, because there are very few people in this country that have it. And everybody's experience is different. But there needs to be consultants in UK that you can go to for free, and for them to discuss and show you your brain, have MRI and discuss what's happened to you. Because it's not as simple as you get better and that's it. Because I haven't. I've become a different person. I've got neurological problems. I've got mental health issues all surrounding. Because the thing is, nobody knew what I'd got, and I didn't know that I had cerebral malaria. I was really sick for months, and I took malarial tablets, but the problem is they were the wrong ones because they didn't kill them in the brain. And I still get upset about it now, and the doctors at my GP are useless. They don't understand. Oh, well, I know people that have got TIC. I know people that. I look at these people and, we've looked, they didn't look after me at all. It was me that asked to go and see the consultant at Paul for my brain. It was me that did all the running around, going to the hospital. It was me that was doing all these things. And so, yes, I'm really looking for a doctor to tell me what's going on and what's happened. Because, as I say, many people think I'm bonkers. But I'm not. It's just that I have an illness. I had an illness that has left me with neurological problems. Thank God for Canon Andrew White, the Vicar of Baghdad, who was an anaesthetist in St. Thomas's and dealt with all sorts of things. And he knows I've got neurological problems. He's got MS and he suffers with brain fog and he suffers a lot. Um, so I thank God for him because he has really sat with me and talked to me a lot about um, cerebral malaria and the effects of it. And I do struggle and I can't walk very far. I really struggle with. Oh dear. But the problem is GPs are only given so much knowledge. They're not given full knowledge about these strange diseases from other countries. I've got an ear infection now and they've not really helped me. I've got a perforated eardrum. I've been in agony for weeks. And, keep on with the tablets. Let the tablets work. But they've given me eardrops when I've got a perforated ear. And in fact, you shouldn't put any eardrops, any wet in your ear. And so I've got to stop taking them. And thank God they've given me some antibiotics. But this is the problem. Um, so anyway, I think it would be good for a consultant if you're watching this. For me to, I can write out properly the symptoms, what's happened, because it will help you for the people that come back from mission or come back from a holiday that have picked up these diseases. I want to go to Liverpool, but they haven't got any people that do a consultancy. I mean, I have said that I could do it, pay for it, but why should I? I should do it on the NHS. Uh, but there we are. I still don't know very much about cerebral malaria and what happens when you've had it, or even when you've got it, but I just know a little bit here and there. So if you're a doctor or a consultant or you've had um, cerebral malaria, please leave a message down on the comments section or an email. And, I shouldn't needed to have gone to police. I shouldn't needed to have gone to court. All they were thinking about domestic violence, not somebody's just had a serious illness given 33% chance of survival and had a swollen brain. They weren't concerned about that. Even my solicitor was very cruel. People from church were very cruel. And people don't want to know. And this is why I used AI and Googled it up and I saw the different things that can happen. Depression, mental health, and also the fact there is lack of any understanding of it in our hospitals and GPs. And so, you're okay if you're a child. Everybody wants to hear about children and the cerebral malaria and what happens to them, but nobody seems to know or understand what happens to adults. And so you're left like me, isolated, nobody to talk to, nobody to understand. But you know what really helped me as well was going to the acquired brain injury in Poole and listening to the stories of other people that have got brain injury. Like some young man, um he even shouted at the nurse. I didn't feel quite as bad because it's a common cause of brain injury. You might have different reasons for brain injury, but it does all seem to be the same. And another lady who's married to an old crime commissioner, she very rude to people, and she has to have a badge saying that she's got men because she had an aneurysm, and she carries the mind badge like I do. But the problem is it's got about police underneath, which makes it sound even worse. We need to have a proper group of people who've got cerebral malaria and are struggling with GPs and consultants and doctors. In Liverpool, they have another one of these tropical disease things, but the problem is they don't want to see anybody. They don't have any surgery. They don't have any consultancy, but we need it because I need to understand what happened to me. Yeah, it's terrible to see it on a YouTube and your brain swelling and recognizing that your old self is gone and now you're this different person who's got a big gob, pilly, brain fog, fatigue. And when I really get stressed and when I really get too much on, I can't talk. I can't get the words out. I say different words. And with my husband, I can have two or three conversations going at the same time. But when you recognize, like when I saw that apart from the feeling apart from the feeling of grief, now I forgot what I was going to say. I want to know about it because when you hear people like at the acquired brain injury unit and they have similar things happening to them and different reactions from different people, um, then it helps you because you can recognize you're not going insane. You're not mental. People need to understand people with brain injury. And when you sit, like with mine, tell them about going to the police station or being going to court. Oh, I don't want to, oh no, we can't talk about that. But you should talk about it. There must be other people that have had these situations when you have your brain. Nobody knew that I had a brain swollen. I mean, it used to get headaches and oh dear, now I'm getting all stressed again. But yeah, I hope a doctor or consultant listens to this because you feel so isolated. You feel very isolated, not knowing what's happening with your brain, not understanding, and So anyway, that's me about cerebral malaria. I can't really talk about anything else. But if you've had cerebral malaria, you've had similar situation to me, please write to me or on the bottom, probably send an email. Maybe we could start a group. Maybe we could the more people you see you can contact doctors and maybe they may be able to help. And if you're a consultant who deals with cerebral malaria, please contact me because I really want to know what happened and what's happening to me now. Bye.